Okay, so do you now have your program finished? I hope you do. Let's review what we might want to see here. Let's make a habit of using G90 and G20 in our sample part programs. And make a habit of using G01s and G00s. And let's determine, or rather let's just sketch out what our program will look like. So what I'll probably do is say, I'm going to do this piece first. I'm going to go from here to here to here to here. Okay? So there's my origin. So I'm going to plot out my x and y moves. So to my first point in the triangle, that would be x minus 19, right? We're on the minus side, and y plus 5. So I'm going to just say G00 because I want it to go at a rapid, x minus 19.0, and y plus 0.5. Notice I'm not using the plus sign. You could say y plus 5.0. The controller doesn't really need the plus sign. It assumes that's what you mean. So you'll see that I have not been using the plus sign when the value is a positive number on the positive side of the origin. So there we just say y 5.0. So what this line does is take and move at a rapid feed rate right over that point. But prior to that, we want to tell it, okay, we're using absolute coordinates. I should have typed that in first. And then that everything we're using is going to be in inches. So all my axes numbers are inch units. That's what the G20 is telling us. So now we are sitting right here. So now what we can probably do is move around this triangle. So now I'll move to that point, which is x minus 14 and y 5. But we want to go at a feed rate, so we say G01, x minus 14, and it's still at y 5.0. And now we're going to move down to x minus 14, y positive 2.0. So now I'm going to say G01, x minus 14, y 2.0. And now back up to where we started. We're going to say G01, x minus 19, y 5.0. And now we've got that triangle. So we've gone 1, 2, 3. And now let's do a rapid move straight down to this point right here. That's at x minus 18. So we'll say G00, x minus 18.0, y minus 2. Why is it y minus 2? I hope you answered by saying because it's below the origin line. So anything in this half is y minus, anything above that line is y plus. So now we're sitting there and we probably want to do a G01 move to x minus 18, y minus 6. So here we'll shift it up and we'll say G01, x minus 18, y minus 6.0. And now we're sitting right here. So now let's move to there, and that's x minus 13, y minus 6. And now we want to move back up to there. So now we move x minus 13, y minus 2.0. And now back to the start point, x minus 18, y minus 2.0. So now we're sitting right here. Now what I would do is make a rapid move to this point right here. So I'm going to say G00, 0, and I'll continue it, the program right here. I'll say G00, 0, and we're going to say x minus 8, y minus 2, so now we're sitting here. Now we want to do a feed rate to that point, so we say G01 x3 y of 4.0. Oops, I made a mistake. We ended up right here. Then I said G00 x minus 8, but my y value is 4.0. Notice how I wrote y minus 2.0. Incorrect. So let me correct that. We're making a rapid move. We ended up here. We're going to x minus 8, y positive 4.0. I hope you caught that. G01 x 3.0. Now it's on this side, so x is positive 3, and y is still 4.0. And now we're saying G01, x is still 3.0, but this time y becomes minus 2.0. So now we're sitting here, and we want to end up here, which is an inch further than we started. See, notice how it's lit there. So now we just make a move to y, to x minus 9. And then y minus 2. We're basically done with the x and y movements of our part program. Again, rapid positioning to a start point, and then feed rating, rapid positioning, and then with a feed rate, then rapid position, and then with a feed rate. We're still missing lots of things. You'd still get valid movement with what we've done so far. But one of the things we need to tell it, when we're going at a feed rate, we're saying G01 should be a predetermined feed rate. We need to tell it what that feed rate should be. And if you recall from our discussion on materials and milling, that every tool motion is expressed in terms of a feed rate. How many inches per minute that tool will need to move to do an efficient removal of material. We specify feed rate with a new address. It's the letter F. So we did a rapid position to this point, let's say. Now all of our moves are at G01, so it would be good to tell it what our feed rate should be. So right here in our first G01 line, we're going to use a new word called the letter F, like in Frank, and we're going to give it a value of inches per minute. So now our line becomes not only G01 X address, Y address, but the F address, which is a feed rate per minute. And once we say F 5.0, we don't have to repeat it for any of these G01s because the controller remembers what you last told it. So if we go and wrap it here and then we go back into a G01 here, it's going to remember or do the same thing as if I repeated F here. I can repeat F as often as I want, but I don't have to. Because the controller will remember it. This is what's called modality. In other words, the controller remembers the last valid state of a particular address, like the letter F. Now, also, please notice that we're going here, G0, 0, G0, 1, G0, 1, G0, 1, G0, 0. You see that, right? But notice the G90 and G20, we only need to say it one time. The G20 we only need to say it one time, because it'll remember that. Here we've gone to G0, 0. And then we've stepped down to G0, 1 right here. You know what the G0, 1 means. Then the next two lines are also in G0, 1, so going a step further with what I said, we don't need to repeat that. So it's allowable to go G0, 0 at a rapid, and now we say G0, 1, and to save us some typing, so we don't have to constantly repeat all of these words, we don't need to repeat the G0, 1, just like we won't need to repeat the F. It remembers that. Until we wanted to do something else, to go G0, 0. Then we go back to G0, 1, and notice the next two lines again are G01, so because they're the same, they don't need to change until we want it. Here's the third line, that's also a G01. So this will remain in force until we change it. And then we change it back to a G01, and we don't need to repeat that. Either way is valid. It's okay to repeat if you want to. I'm just pointing out this because this is a very common practice. You, in most professional shops, will not see these G01s repeated over and over again ad nauseum. You will not see feed rates repeated up and down constantly. Take a look at some programs that you might find in your shop, and I think you'll see that I'm correct when I say you don't have repeating Fs in every single line of movement. That's called modality. That's a feature of the control, that it remembers the last state it was in. So now, I've introduced you not only to the concept of modality, but a new address, the letter F. We've looked at X and we've looked at Y addresses, and now we've looked at the letter F. The letter F, for our purposes right now, means it's a feed rate. And that feed rate is expressed in inches per minute. F, 5 inches per minute. F, 5.0. I've also introduced you to the concept of modality, in that under certain conditions, preparatory functions remain in effect until we change them. So the G01 stays in force here until I change it with a G00. And then if I want to say a feed rate again, I have to come out of the G00 mode and restate G01, but then it will remember that as long as I need it to. So now we have introduced to you these new concepts as we're actually going through and building a valid part program.